A partial review of the environmental studies for Eglinton LRT project, prepared by Joshua, S.M. Abdullah, Jeahan, and Ahmad Sear. Every construction project has an impact on its environment. In Toronto, there's a great focus for environmental sustainability. Here, we will look at the following topics for the Eglinton LRT project as a case study: soil management, noise and vibrations, air quality, which will also be split into construction-related emissions and operational emissions.
Now I will discuss about the excess soil management for the project. Excess soil must be removed. One of the most important considerations to be taken during the construction of any project is excess soil management. Excess soil is the soil that has been dug up, typically during the construction activities. It must be moved off site because it can't or would not be reused at the development site. This is the definition from the Ministry of Environment of Ontario. 1.8 million cubic meters of excess soil have been removed. The major portion of this excess soil was produced from the tunnel boring machine for the project, and the remaining amount was produced from other traditional excavations for the project. This excavated soil that was not reused on site was classified into two groups, that is excess soil to be reused to another location, and another one is the contaminated or waste soil. All of the waste and reusable soil was moved away from the site. The reusable excess soil was transferred to the excess soil management site at the Stupeville, which is operated and managed by United Soils. And the waste soil, it was disposed of by GFL. The soil removal was planned before the start of the project, and it was just executed accordingly to during the project execution. A soil profile, for example, a soil profile was created using the GPS for the Science Center station before starting the construction, which was almost 90 meters long. Another example is like a temporary soil storage shed was constructed, which was asphalt paved and covered with a tent. The excess soil was initially deposited into the shed to keep the integrity of the soil in case of snow or rain. Metrolinx, along with its contractors, had set up effective management plan for excess soil from the very beginning of the project. All the possible efforts to minimize the environmental effects of handling excess soil and maximizing the beneficial reuse of excess soil was taken.
Moving on with the noise and vibration. When taking the residents of Toronto into consideration, this is one major challenge faced throughout the project and thereafter. Trains can be noisy, and they can cause vibration in the neighborhood as well. We will be looking into the major studies conducted during construction and post-construction as well. During construction, the Eglinton LRT includes the differences in decibels before the construction started and after the construction started. It also includes the receptors during the night and day with the highest sensitivity rate included. Yet, these guidelines weren't always followed by the contractor, and incidents happen where they went above the requirement, especially during night hours. In this slide, we have an apology letter written by Crosslinks, which is the contractor responsible for this project. In 2017, the residents were disrupted all night, resulting in the media getting involved on the news and interviewing residents in the area as well. And there is an apology letter issued from Crosslinks, being their contractor responsible, and that's one main guideline that was not followed, although throughout the whole project, Zoom meetings and online questionnaires are always conducted, which makes the public aware of what the neighborhood undergoes. But during 2017, no notice or permit was obtained. Moving on with the noise and vibration. When taking the residents of Toronto into consideration, this is one major challenge faced throughout the project and thereafter. Trains can be noisy, and they can cause vibration in the neighborhood as well. We will be looking into the major studies conducted during construction and post-construction as well. During construction, the Eglinton LRT includes the differences in decibels before the construction started and after the construction started. It also includes the receptors during the night and day with the highest sensitivity rate included. Yet, these guidelines weren't always followed by the contractor, and incidents happen where they went above the requirement, especially during night hours.
Under the category of air quality, Metrolinx has identified three types of emissions produced during construction that affects the environment, the categories being dust, combustion, and greenhouse gas emissions. Metrolinx proposed the Construction Air Quality Management Plan, which implements mitigation and monitoring measures during the construction to effectively reduce harmful emissions and enhance air quality. Stations Stations were established near study areas which collect data of the project's air quality to be compared with the worst-case scenario to conclude the best practices to implement. Listed are some of the mentioned practices, which include wetting dusty surfaces, usage of ultra-low sulfur fuels, and proper scheduling of tasks. With that being said, additions to the mitigation measures could include adequate preparation of site conditions and the implementation of certain demolition techniques that would minimize dust production. The measures listed for combustion and greenhouse gas emissions were found to be adequate. Unfortunately, no published data regarding these harmful emissions were available, which questions whether these practices are still being maintained.
Running and the operation between these two options we compare now. So diesel engines produce more emissions. Although some emissions are generated for producing power for electric vehicles, still it's lower compared to diesel. And the power plant is far away from the corridor. It means that the area with close by to the corridor will have the most impact. So diesel particulate matter are 20 times higher compared to the gasoline engines, and those are the 9 type of emissions emitted from diesel engines. If we look at each type of emission, we can see that overall LRT vehicles produce less emission. To further reduce the rate of emissions, we can go for a type of source which produce less emission, or choose an LRT train which is more energy efficient.